back in beautiful Boca Raton, Florida, where it's a balmy 74 degrees in our little studio. And CJ, you got the outside temperature?
And CJ, the weather girl.
Yes.
79 degrees in beautiful
79.
downtown Boca Raton.
All right. I see the clouds getting a little dark there, a little rain. We can use a little bit of rain in Boca Raton at 6 minutes after 4 o'clock. Thank you for being with us. The viewing world watching on TrentoVision.tv. Hey, Ryan, are you viewing it? Can you see what's going on, Ryan?
Yeah, there's a slight delay, so I don't see myself on there yet, but I see you guys.
We didn't put you
there
on
we
yet.
go.
There we go. There you are. But we're gonna let you hover in between us in a second here.
Okay.
But I think it's very important. We have new people just tuning in now. WNN on 1470 on the radio dial. We're here from 3 to 6 every day. Tom Trento, your host, with J. Mark, with CJ. J. Mark is the disembodied voice. Mike is Invisible Mike. And CJ is the cookie lady. The cookie lady.
The cookie girl.
Cookie girl. And once in a while we have Dave R. just walk in, or anybody walks in our studio, whatever they want to do.
Which they can if they bring treats.
Yes, but we deal with extremely serious information, and today we have critically important information on the war, essentially a low-grade war going on. It ain't low-grade to the people in Sderot and Ashton and these other towns outside the perimeter, the missile perimeter of the Gaza Strip. As you know, it's on the coast, the Mediterranean, so they fire to the east, the north, the east, and the south. They're in the southern part of Israel, and that 7 to 15 to 20-mile perimeter. It ain't a low-grade war to those, particularly 3 people that got killed today when they were in their home and a missile hit their home and killed them. But we brought you Mark Kohlberg, an Israeli, reporting from Israel in our first hour, telling us the seriousness of the situation. And then we brought on Ryan Mauro, and we're dealing with the Muslim Brotherhood's infiltration into the government administration in New Jersey. And then in our next, and we're going to deal with more of that this hour, then we're going to segue to the Muslim Brotherhood's infiltration into the Hamas, like they started it. We'll tell you about that. But J. Mark here in our studio raised a very important point in between the hours in our break. We're beating the hell out of Democrats, and rightfully so, because you need to get the hell beat out of you. You voted for this president, which we said from a national security perspective is the worst president ever in the United States of America. Now you're seeing that. We told you so, we told you so, we told you so. You sold the national security of this country and of friendly allies for a little pot of porridge called Obamacare or Obama phones. Shame on all of you that have done that. But our national security sword cuts both ways. Right now, we're cutting a leading Republican who is being considered to be the vice president of the United States of America. To show you our non-prejudicial critique on national security, not to show you, but the fact is we are non-prejudicial in our critique on national security. When a Republican fails, we're going to let you know. Christie, big mouth, blowhard, fat guy from New Jersey.
Okay, you don't have to bring in his weight into the issue. That's not nice.
Oh, my God.
It's irrelevant.
Somebody who's 20 pounds over where they want to be. I could say that, okay? But no, he's a big blowhard is what he is. And I understand how so many New Jersey people like him. I grew up there. You kind of like blowhards, right? But when a blowhard gets hooked up with the Brotherhood, then that's crossing a red line. So for our Democrat friends that think we only beat you guys up, no. We will continue to do that. We'll continue to beat up Christie and anybody else. And if Mitt Romney became president and got involved with the Brotherhood, man, would we be all over him. Because we're trying to affirm the principles of the United States Constitution. It's that simple. That's the gauge, the guideline, the watershed contract with citizens that needs to be upheld constantly. And it's in that context that we fight for the state of Israel, which is under attack by all the jihadis worldwide. Mark, you had a thought or question or something?
Yeah, and I think it's important to bring up as a something for Democrats to think about and Republicans too. Is
A little louder for this thing. I don't think it's getting into that.
is
There you go.
the Muslim Brotherhood does not care which party they align themselves with. They could care less which party they align themselves with. So if you think that they voted 90% for Democrats this time, that they are all on your side, buyer beware, because they have voted 90% for Republicans in the past, and they have aligned themselves with Republicans in the past, and they've aligned themselves with whatever serves their agenda.
Influence.
It's influence.
Yep.
And this thing with Christie, and Ryan, I'd like for you to comment on this. You know, it seems like what has happened here is that they have bought their way inside the Christie administration and have influenced him in that way with a big donation or something like that. Is that correct?
Wait, hang on, Ryan. CJ has one question, then we're going to let you get back to your analysis.
Yeah, Ryan. What's in it for Governor Christie to cozy up with these people to begin with? What does he need them for?
Well, firstly, votes. I mean, there's a big Muslim population in New Jersey, according to CARE. So, this is suspect.
It could be
there's
inflated.
about 400,000 Muslims living in New Jersey, so it's a big voting bloc. And again, sometimes it can just be as simple as a personal relationship and arrogance. Arrogance that because he's prosecuted terrorists, that somehow makes him a terrorism expert and he understands everything about the Muslim Brotherhood. And so he shuts out any opposing information because he's the expert. And it could be, again, like I said, just as simple as the fact that he had a friendship with Cantanati. From what I've heard, he's a nice, likable guy. He can win you over. And he got one over, and so he just isn't willing to listen to any evidence to the contrary.
Well, we find that a lot, that they are very nice, likable guys, even from our investigation. They're all nice, likable guys. That's the whole point. I mean, they're covert operators inside the United States. They're going to come out there with a smile and a handshake and invite you over for dinner.
Right, and even going beyond the fact that that's how they operate, a lot of Westerners can't grasp this concept that on a day-to-day basis in your daily communications with people, you can be an Islamist and actually be polite. You can spend a lot of money on Girl Scout cookies. You can donate to charity. You can do all sorts of things that we would judge a person by to figure out if they're a good person or not, and still have as your worldview support for Hamas, Sharia law, and these other reprehensible things.
Absolutely. Why don't you continue now with your analysis of this, and for the sake of the audience, at 13 minutes after 4 o'clock, and if you're just tuning in your car going, Hamas, this, operatives, what is this? What is this, spy radio? Is it spy radio? Well, in a sense, yes. We have a lot of spies coming on our show, former spies, and maybe current spies, you never know. But on TrentoVision.tv, you can watch this stuff, TrentoVision.tv. On the radio side, 1470 AM, and if you'd like to donate to help continue, no commercials. Actually, we have a little break at the top, but they're not our commercials. We don't have any commercials at this point. If you'd like to help us out, you can donate, or if you're interested, you have a business and you'd like to advertise with us, give us contact us, email Tom, my name, at TrentoVision.tv, and we will get back to you with all the information. At 14 minutes after 4 o'clock, we're talking to a national security expert, investigative reporter, Ryan Mauro. He works for the Clarion Fund, and their website, you need to go there and visit radicalislam.org. These are the guys that made phenomenal documentaries about Islamic jihad and the necessity for the West to stand against jihad in a united manner. Right now, Ryan is detailing an investigative piece that he just published today about Governor Christie and his involvement with a council of Muslims, many of whom are directly involved in the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood is a terrorist organization. The federal government proved in a federal trial that the Brotherhood's raison d'etre, their reason for existing, is to overthrow the West and the United States and to set up a caliphate and Sharia law. We know it sounds crazy. That happens to be the worldview, the belief system of the enemy. And Ryan right now is bringing it right down home to New Jersey to show how these Muslim brotherhoods run influence operations to people in high levels, how the governor, the Republican governor, got influenced, and watch where this is going. Continue with what, before you continue with your thriller, this sounds like a James Bond movie here. We have Alex, I think, wants to ask you a question. Alex on the line. Alex, are you there? You're with Tom right now.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. What is your question? Thanks for calling, and we may have to have I may have to repeat your question if it's for Ryan.
No. Well, by the way, I did call before. You helped me when same thing my mom was 24.
Oh, that's this Alex. Okay, how you doing?
By the way, I did try to send you an email, guys, but I sent 2 or 3 emails so you have some of my contact information. But I don't know if I should say exactly what country is it from that I've known a lot of these people. It's exactly what this guy from the gentleman from New Jersey said. They are being sponsored to come to school here a lot in some place in Florida. That's one thing that I would love to even work with some of you guys with, because I see how they have explained me how the government, they sponsor them, they drive the best cars, they brainwash a lot of people with the money that they have, and everybody thinks that.
Alex, when you say they, who are you referring to?
This is, this is where I'm contradicting myself. I want to fight for liberty, but they're particularly people from Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
International students are visiting here a lot of the schools. Between Miami and West Palm Beach, and of course they move after that. They make a move to California.
Right.
But,
Alex, you work for the school system, right?
No, but this is something else I do. I do try to transport people, and through this I've gotten to know people from different schools here that come to study, particularly English.
Are you do you drive a limousine or something?
It's a transportation van. So I've done it for a while, and one of the guys, they were very proud to show pictures of one of the guys that knew a guy was very proud to show the guys another guy that he had these pictures of his dad with Vladimir Putin, because the guy was he was moving and he was selling. They had supposedly the biggest company. I don't know if it was Arab Emirates or particularly Saudi Arabia, and they were selling them to Russia and back and forth, and they were very happy to show his dad had a picture with him of Vladimir Putin and blah blah blah, and then they used to show how they have this money, how they have all these cars.
Absolutely, this what you've discovered is what's going on in the United States. Let's do this, Alex. Send that information, Tom at TrentoVision.tv. Contact us. We'll pursue this off the air, because we may not want to talk about too much of what you find at this point. But let's deal with that off the air. We'll let Ryan get back to his timeline. But what you have stumbled upon is are these cells? I don't know if it is. I mean, but there are cells all over the United States that come in. They go through a schooling system, and then they develop a network and all of that. So let's talk offline, off the radio here. And but I appreciate you calling, and keep listening, and send us a note. We'll be in touch with you. Okay.
Thanks, Alex.
Just so you know, I did email you from my phone today.
Okay, good.
Okay, good. We'll check it out later.
All right, great.
So you have both my phone and my email now. Okay.
You got it.
Okay, thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Alex. And Ryan, he ran across. He's in Florida, we have these vans that take people back and forth to the airports. And, you know, people, after they had a successful little time or they're excited about coming in, they loose lips. And it seems Alex, I think he's Cuban, isn't he?
Colombian.
Colombian. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's called a couple of times. And he seems to have stumbled on something. But you have stumbled on, you've stumbled over a gigantic 400-pound guy in the middle of the Garden State Parkway up there. Continue with your analysis.
Okay, so just for the people that just tuned in, basically where it started was in 2008. There's an imam in New Jersey that's very popular, very powerful, that the Department of Homeland Security wants to kick out for his links to terrorism, specifically Hamas. And Christie comes to his defense, and he's still defending him. Then after Christie becomes governor, he takes this imam, Kantanani, his attorney, and makes him a superior court judge. And so that brings us up to a more recent time where the NYPD gets into trouble because they are intelligence gathering in New Jersey, trying to locate terrorists and engaging in mapping techniques. And Christie starts beating them up for that, saying that you're violating state law. Well, it turns out that they're not violating state law, and so Christie clears them. And he realizes that his Muslim American community, especially the leaders he's embraced, are very upset about this. So this brings us up to May. And so Christie clears the NYPD and he announces, all right, this is the solution. We're going to put together a Muslim outreach committee under the authority of my Attorney General. But the names of this committee are not disclosed. And so I began investigating, and we came out with a report at radicalislam.org today about the people that actually do sit on this committee. And it turns out that 4 of them are Islamists, people with very bad backgrounds that have preached extremism, that are involved with extremist organizations, a solid case against them. And one of the individuals is the imam I mentioned before, Kantanani, that the Department of Homeland Security wants to kick out, but now is serving as an advisor to the Christie administration in New Jersey. And by the way, this committee doesn't just meet with like a secretary at the Attorney General's office. They meet with the top security officials of New Jersey. I have a list of the security officials that met with them on September 5th, and they got access to the top guys, even though they have these backgrounds. So it's a really shocking case, but on a broader level, it's a case study of how Islamists in the United States operate and how they influence the political system and governors like Chris Christie.
Okay.
You had to have made this up, Brian, because this is completely unbelievable. I mean, this reads like a sci-fi novel. It's just like, well, I mean, this is just like out of the blue. It's incredible.
Well, one of the guys they met with, by the way, is the director of the New Jersey Department of Homeland Security on the state level of the Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness. So you have the top Homeland Security official in New Jersey meeting with Islamic extremists that you can find out are extremists just based on publicly available information.
All right, CJ, you had a question for Ryan.
Yeah, wasn't there some scandal about the New Jersey Department of Homeland Security a few years ago?
Nothing that I can recall.
Yeah, there was some member some guy was appointed to be the head of the New Jersey Homeland Security, and he was caught in some gay sex scandal or something like that. Is that related to this?
When Kantanani's trial was going on, Christie, besides publicly embracing Kantanani, dispatched his assistant U.S. attorney, Charles McKenna, to testify as a character witness on Kantanani's behalf and say, he's a good guy, the Department of Homeland Security is wrong for trying to kick him out. After Christie becomes governor, he chooses Charles McKenna, the guy that was acting as a character witness for Kantanani, as the head of the New Jersey, essentially the New Jersey Department of Homeland Security. He's not currently the director of the New Jersey Department of Homeland Security, but he was up until earlier this year.
And what was his problem?
There was some scandal
was there a
scandal with New Jersey Homeland Security.
A scandal, unless the scandal you're
I'm
thinking
gonna look
of
it
is
up.
The story that I just recited that's been out there.
Okay. All right. Hey, it's New Jersey. Anything goes in New Jersey.
You know what? If you replace these names with Gambino or something like this,
That's New York.
But what I'm just saying, it would be like this.
Provincenzo.
Yeah, just that they're
Or
Muslim.
Mauro. That's a good Italian name, Mauro. So,
You know what? Think of it this way. Imagine if a governor set up a Christian outreach committee and you found out that of the 10 members, 4 of them belong to the Westboro Baptist Church.
yeah, well,
I mean, everyone would be flipping out saying that's absurd. But if you do it, if that happens with Muslim Brotherhood linked guys, everyone runs to their defense.
that's an excellent analogy.
Okay, I just found it. Yeah, it was.
You got to speak to him over there too. Both. You got to do both mics. CJ found
sorry.
something.
It was
Okay.
former
Texas.
Governor Jim McGreevey had an affair with New Jersey Homeland
Oh, okay.
Security
Yeah,
advisor.
I remember
yeah.
that.
Vaguely recall what you're referring
Yeah.
to.
I remember
Okay. All right.
How
I
is-
knew there was something hinky about the New Jersey Homeland Security. That's why I asked.
that. How is Jim these days?
Yeah, where is Jim?
I remember that. His
Yeah.
wife and everything. Okay, CJ has a good memory for salacious.
For scandals.
Yeah,
What a
scandals.
scandal mongress.
We've been in Benghazi Gate for
Yeah.
the past week. We need to take a shower. All right, now what is your hope? Are you Don Quixote in New Jersey writing and just all right, whatever happens, or do you have an objective? Is there going to be a plan? Do you want these guys taken off? Are you trying to start a movement? What's your end game here?
The end game is that everyone realizes how toxic some of these activists are, because that's what they are. They're not just imams; they are activists, and realize what they're really about, and then they get marginalized, and no one touches them, just like you wouldn't touch someone from the Westboro Baptist Church or someone from the KKK. And so you hopefully marginalize them just through exposure. And as for Christie, he's obviously not going to get educated on this issue of the Muslim Brotherhood. So my objective is just hopefully this sparks enough pressure that these individuals get kicked off the committee, and it minimizes the influence that they have with the Christie administration and other officials. I'm not hopeful that he's going to give in, but hopefully that this can be a time to wake up people in New Jersey, especially the officials, as to what's going on here and the people that they're dealing with.
CJ, you had something?
Yeah, I do. I'm kind of wondering, with a second Obama administration and his embrace of the Muslim Brotherhood, if the Muslim Brotherhood actually becomes official allies of the United States, either through Egypt and through the contacts in the current administration, how are people like you and us ever actually going to fight the Muslim Brotherhood in the United States if they're no longer regarded as terrorists at all?
That's a really good question. If the Obama administration officially says that the Muslim Brotherhood's a moderate force, that does a lot of damage to our cause. But luckily, the individuals that we're concerned about say things that are so extreme that you can make the argument against them just based on their own quotes. So the argument doesn't have to be, oh, well, they're involved with the Muslim Brotherhood, because if the majority of the people are going to say, well, I don't care, I think the Muslim Brotherhood's an okay organization, you can bring up things like the fact that they've defended suicide bombers, or that they've spoken in support of resurrecting the caliphate and destroying Israel.
Yeah, but if that doesn't stop the governor of New Jersey from embracing them, or the president of the United States, then why should anybody else way down the line
Well, that's
who's
the
building
magic.
bridges of peace
Yeah.
shy away from these people?
That's the magic question. Oh,
Well, I mean, that's the hill that we have to climb. So
Yeah.
you just have to do it by embarrassing them. You have to scare them a little bit, and just hopefully over time, people will wake up to it, and then individuals that engage in this type of activity will suffer such severe political repercussions that no one else will follow in their footsteps.
Sounds good to me.
we had a little similar situation here in Florida and launched a campaign.
Yeah.
We had an imam from right from where Mark lived, and Imam Mohammed. Oh, Mohammed. That's an interesting name for an imam. Mohammed Musri, and he was on the governor's council, and he's a brother. You want to tell him real quickly about it, Mark?
Yeah, real quick, Ryan. It was he brought in George Galloway to hold a Hamas fundraiser in his mosque.
That's kind of a hint.
That's kind of a hint, clue.
Wow.
Like John Guandola would say, that's a clue. And he brought in also Mahdi Bray was his other person he brought in at the same time to do this Hamas fundraiser for Gaza. Collected over $50,000 in funds, and governor's interfaith faith-based advisor on the on
Muslim Affairs.
Muslim Affairs Unit, and then
And this is the current governor?
yeah, it was the current governor. Yes.
Well, it was before this governor. He was on the council. When this governor took over, he was still on the same council. Their terms ran for like 6 years or something.
And then finally, we put enough public pressure on the governor to actually get Musri actually removed from.
Not restated.
Not
when
restated.
When the vote came
not
up
restated.
again.
He wasn't removed. He was not restated. So I mean, so stuff like you were doing and what we're doing has a impact. But that took 3 years to accomplish, Ryan. It wasn't an overnight thing.
Yeah.
Well, we actually do have an opportunity coming up very shortly to make an impact that I just remembered. Cantanani's trial to get him deported, because the Department of Homeland Security is not backing down, resumes, I believe, November 26th, but it's definitely this month. And so once that happens and the media starts covering it, it's going to be interesting to see if Christie again comes to his defense. I think he probably will. I don't think he'll back down. But that's going to be an opportunity, one of those rare opportunities where the media's attention is going to be focused on this issue, and that's going to be the signal for us to be loud.
Well, in actuality, where you might have some success in that is because we actually did get George Galloway banned from the country until he got himself elected as MP again, and then he was given status. But there was that time, a period of about a year or two, where we did get him banned from the country. So, so there is some success, hope in that strategy.
Yeah, it was a. We'll talk to you about it again off the radio because there was a lot of levels of work to that. But what you just did for the people at the bottom of the hour, 32 minutes after 4 o'clock, just tuning in, or just getting a piece of this. You're with Tom Trento, TrentoVision.tv, National Security Radio. We're bringing you inside information about all the crazy stuff going on in the world. Right now, we're camping in Trenton, not Trento, Trenton, New Jersey. Going to school in New Jersey with the name Trento. There was always an N put on the end. It's not Trenton. Take it off. I was going to change my name to Trenton. Take it off the N. I'm Italian. Do I look like I got an N at the end of my name? So we're in Trenton, New Jersey, where whenever Muslim Brotherhood. Yeah, we're going to do that. We're in Trenton, New Jersey, whenever Christie drives down there and goes over the one of the bridges, it starts to shake and everything. I don't like Christie. I do not like Christie. He is he defends all this brotherhood stuff, but for the listeners out there, Ryan is an analyst. He gets the information together, and he's available to speak for your groups all over the United States, and he's a great speaker, all that stuff. But activists now take his hard research and hit the ground and make life difficult for Christie and his Muslim Brotherhood followers. You go to their events, you put pressure on them, you initiate the activism core of public policy change, and that's how you get things done. The trial for the imam starting this month couldn't be a better target for select and directed activism. You folks in New Jersey, let's get going on this. All right.
One quick question, Ryan, before we go to the next question. Has this story been picked up by any major media, Fox or MSNBC or anybody like that?
Yeah, right. The Daily Caller is reporting on the report that came out at radicalism.org. They just published their report not that long ago today. But in terms of the mainstream media with Fox and MSNBC, no luck there, and I don't foresee that changing.
That's strange. You think Fox would be interested, but they kind of love Christie over there anyway. I'll tell you what.
I mean, Fox doesn't really get involved in these issues that much anymore.
Really? Because you used to be on Fox like every week.
Yeah, I was on fairly often, but even then, it was often about Middle East issues. When it comes to talking about the Muslim Brotherhood in the inside of the country, the networks don't touch that as much.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
they don't want to know.
Here's what you can do. I'll give you. You want the hint? You want a hint as to how you can really defeat Christie? You want a hint?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. You got to go to Red Bank, New Jersey, and go to the big mansion on the water. Get Bruce on your side. You get Bruce on your side, and Christie will be weeping his way away from the Muslim Brotherhood because he loves Springsteen more than he loves the Brotherhood.
That's actually very true. If we could put together a briefing with Bruce Springsteen, that would be a game changer.
Yeah. Springsteen be going, huh? Well, brotherhood.
Oh, brotherhood! I'm for that.
Yeah. We need some Bruce music. All right. Well, we're going to switch to your next article, Ryan. Okay, at 35 minutes after the hour on WNN 1470. We have National Security Investigative Reporter Ryan Mauro on the phone, Skyped in. You're listening to him, but you can see his pretty angelic kind of
James
Yeah.
Bond face up here.
It is. It's very Bondish.
I think he looks like a little devilish angel kind of thing.
Devilish angel. That's
Yeah.
the first time I've been called that.
That's the female view. you
Yeah.
know? But Ryan has just laid out a really crazy story about Christie selecting known members of the Muslim Brotherhood, which would be analogous if you were building a Christian consulting counseling group for Christian affairs, to having members of the KKK, which is just has nothing to do with Christianity. But the analogy doesn't really work, because the Muslim Brother is really the true believer of Islamic jihad doctrine. So whereas a true believer of Christian doctrine isn't going to be the KKK. So, but anyway, you never get these analogies to walk on all fours, my professor used to say. Professors. But we're gonna segue now to your second article, where you wrote about the Brotherhood and their involvement with the Hamas and Israel. So on TrentoVision.tv, on WNN 1470, if you'd like to speak to Ryan, myself, or someone else in this crazy facility at Beasley Broadcasting Company, you can give us a call at 888-565-1470. 1470 is the name of the numbers, and 888 means it's free, and 565 is all you have to remember. Ryan, did you remember that number? Can you repeat it back, Ryan?
111.
Good. Okay, tell us about this other article you have as a headline article in Front Page Magazine. And if you want to go read the Christie one, it's at radicalislam.org, and you'll see Ryan's lead article there about Christie. Tell us about the Muslim Brotherhood and the Hamas.
Right. Well, the big thing that's happening in the Middle East right now isn't so much about Israel and Hamas. I mean, this type of thing happens from time to time. The big thing happening is the fact that the Muslim Brotherhood runs Egypt now, and they're promising swift action against Israel in coordination with their international and Arab allies. Now, one of the things that the media is going to do, and a lot of typical experts, is when they're trying to assess what's going to happen next, they say, well, let's look at the last time a conflict like this erupted. And so they're going to look at 2009, when Israel launched military operations against the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip. And so if you were to ask them, well, do you see this war expanding? Do you see this conflict getting a lot hotter? They're going to say, maybe, but probably not, based on what happened in 2009. Now, the Muslim Brotherhood is warning us not to do that. They have officially said, this is not 2009 because we control Egypt. And so that comparison does not apply to today. And it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, for the Muslim Brotherhood to back down from that statement, especially when you look at the polls coming out of Egypt regarding the political pressure on them to dissolve the peace treaty with Israel and to defend Hamas in some more aggressive ways. So this situation cannot be compared to 2009, and I think we're fast approaching the point where the Obama administration is going to have a choice. They can either abandon their always flawed embrace of the Muslim Brotherhood, but they're going to have to abandon their strategy of reaching an accommodation with them and realize it was always an illusion, or they're going to have to stand by Israel and keep President Obama's public promise when he said that the U.S. will always have Israel's back. One of those two things, one of those two choices is going to have to be taken. You cannot have both of those options. There's no middle ground here.
Tell everybody what occurred in 2009. That was the Mubarak government in Egypt. And 2009, what actually occurred that the Brotherhood saying, this ain't 2009 anymore?
Well, Well, basically, Israel commenced military operations, Operation Cast Lead, against Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Contrary to what you've heard, it was actually a very humane operation. They spent a lot of money on expensive precision-guided munitions in order to minimize civilian casualties. But of course, the Muslim Brotherhood and Islamist propaganda offensive went into work, and they essentially won the debate on that. But the big difference is that back then, Egypt was a U.S. ally. It was run by President Mubarak, who wasn't going to militarily defend Hamas. He took part in the embargo on the Gaza Strip. The Egyptian military would often destroy the tunnels leading from Egyptian territory into the Gaza Strip. But that has now changed because the Muslim Brotherhood runs Egypt, and they've openly blasted the blockade on the Gaza Strip. So this situation is much worse for Israel.
And interestingly enough, for those of you in our audience, and Ryan, we have a very large Jewish population in southeast Florida, Miami-Dade County, Broward County, which is Fort Lauderdale, and then Palm Beach, which is West Palm, Boca Raton, all of that. About 500,000 Jewish people out of 800,000 that live in the state. 500,000 literally are within probably 300,000 or 400,000 of those 500,000 within the sound of our studio. And everyone remembers very clearly what happened in the end of 2008, end of 2009. In fact, there was the discovery, and for our listeners and viewers, you'll remember, in December of 2008, there was the discovery of the Arab Street in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Ryan, in support of Israel, the end of 2008, in that Operation Cast Lead, a group of Christians and Jews and Hindus and freedom-loving people, small group, 25 people, gathered together on a street corner in Fort Lauderdale on Broward Boulevard and 3rd Avenue. And I went down there to videotape the event because we heard there was going to be a small gathering of pro-Hamas, pro-Hezbollah people on the other street corner. So I was over on the side with the Christians and Jews and Hindus and small group, mostly 90-year-old people, except for Alan West. He was not a congressman there, but he was there holding a big flag. And I saw, 5 or 10 Muslims coming over, and they had the keffiyehs on, the Palestinian keffiyehs and the Palestinian flags, and they're getting agitated. And so I walked over across the street. I'm, dark-skinned, and I kind of fit in, and I lit up a cigar, and I'm just kind of hanging there watching for 3 or 4 hours. And it was a wild, wild afternoon. I recorded it, put the video up that night, and that video went all over the world, literally.
Yeah.
It showed the woman yelling for more Jews to go into the ovens and to nuke Israel, all of that. That operation that you're talking about, where the Israelis went into Gaza to clean up the terrorism, actually revealed the Arab Street here in South Florida, and it's a frightening street. I mean, these are seriously dangerous people. That's what we need to be aware of, because tomorrow, I don't know if you're aware of this, Ryan, tomorrow the Islamic world has called for a Muslim Day of Rage against Israel. Have you heard about that?
Actually, I haven't.
Yeah, after Jummah prayer tomorrow, Muslims are going to unite all over the world against the assault of Israel and the offensive operations now killing innocent Palestinians.
Yeah.
So tomorrow's going to be an interesting day.
A Muslim Day of Rage against Israel. That's Manish Tana Hayom Hazeh. What makes this day different than any other day?
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So what are your concerns? As someone who has your finger on the pulse, and as we have many Jewish and Christian people listening, what are your warnings to South Florida, to all people, wherever they're listening or watching our show, in relation to the next few days and the events in Israel?
Well, obviously, internationally, I'm concerned about the Muslim Brotherhood masses getting together and engaging in violence and compelling Egypt to do something very aggressive towards Israel, but that goes without saying. What I'm also concerned about here in the United States is the fact that you're going to see the Islamist network and their non-Muslim allies go into overdrive now. You're going to see what they're made of. They're going to go into the media. They're going to hold protests. The type of things that you described happening last time in Florida are going to happen again, and it's going to get worse and worse as this fighting continues. And there are two big opportunities coming right now where the rock stars of the Islamist Muslim Brotherhood movement in the United States are coming together. Near the Chicago area, actually. From November 22nd to 25th, American Muslims for Palestine, which condemned Israel but didn't condemn the rockets going into Israel, is holding a very big conference right there where all of the most powerful Islamist activists are coming together. And so that's going to be a big opportunity for them to mobilize all of their supporters and then try and enlist Muslims who may not be Islamists, but to give them a line that'll get them active in their efforts. And then if this conflict continues into next, there's the Muslim American Society and Islamic Circle of North America conference in Chicago that's happening around Christmas time.
Wait a
So you
minute,
have
wait a
two
minute,
big events
hold on,
happening near
hold on,
Chicago.
hold on.
There's just going to be a perfect opportunity for the Muslim Brotherhood to bring all of their resources together and really coordinate an effort to pressure the Obama administration and, quite frankly, raise hell in the United States about Israel.
All right, for our listeners and viewers, Ryan cannot hear us directly when we're talking into the microphones. So when we were trying to stop him, he could not hear us. We were trying to stop you because I think when you listed those two events, both of them were in the state of Illinois. Is that true?
Right. They're either in Chicago or near Chicago.
Chicago. Something strange about
Something
Chicago.
about that, yeah.
Something about Chicago. What could it
I
be?
don't know.
I don't know.
It has some political influence.
If anyone can help us out, what's so unique about Chicago
Yeah.
that the Muslim Brotherhood is having two significant meetings there just 1 month after somebody who's from Chicago got reelected the President of the United States of America, who still hasn't taken a stand and told the Arab world to leave Israel alone. Still, he said it's okay. I don't even know if he said it. He said it's okay for Israel to defend themselves. What a phenomenal concept. It's okay for a country to defend themselves. We're looking for you, Mr. President, to find the will, and you don't have it because you're so mobbed up in the Brotherhood it isn't funny, to find the will and the backbone and the strength of character to stand and tell the Muslim world, the jihadis, get your hands off of Israel because there's no daylight. That you and Israel are like this. I mean, you just together. You understand that? Yeah, where is it?
I think Chicago is where the communist educators of the United States also meet and have their annual convention, right?
Yeah, also, that's
They
where
did last week.
Yeah, they did last week.
The Muslim Students Association was founded. That's where Valerie Jarrett is from, and which is very influential in the Obama administration.
And I went to school in Chicago, downtown Chicago, so I know it well.
I think one other thing that's worth pointing out while we're talking about the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt and what's happening in Israel and what's happening with the United States vis-a-vis Israel and Hamas is to remind everybody that on September 11th of this year, the 11th anniversary of September 11th, the Muslim Brotherhood scaled the walls of our embassy in Cairo, took down and burned the American flag, and put up a Muslim Brotherhood Al-Qaeda support flag instead.
You're just a
So
hater.
if you think it's just about Israel and United States support for Israel, it's a national security issue for the United States.
Well, we saw that in New York, though. When we were out there in New York, we saw them actually, carry the
Yeah, there
Al-Qaeda
you
flag with New York
With
City cops leading the parade.
NYPD leading the parade. Yeah.
Well, this is a good time to tell everybody listening and watching that on Sunday, November 18th, the coming Sunday, 7:30 to 8:30, the Boca Raton Synagogue, 79 Montoya Circle, you can come and listen to Representative Louis Gohmert, Congressman from 1st District of Texas, as he speaks to Israel's right and obligation of self-defense. Louis Gohmert's a judge and now he's a congressman, and he's one of the guys that understands the threat doctrine. He will be speaking, and we will be there. Maybe we'll stream it. We'll see if we can stream this.
He's a superstar. What do you think of Louis Gohmert there, Ryan?
Yeah, what
He's
time
awesome.
is that?
He's a man that we should definitely be supporting. He was one of the individuals that signed the letters that Michelle Bachmann got all of the credit for because the media is used to blasting
Susie
her.
Gold said that.
But
Right.
Michelle Bachmann and some other members of Congress signed these letters about the Muslim Brotherhood influence in the U.S. government, and he was one of the people that signed those letters, and he didn't back down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I would vote for him for president. He'd be
Yeah.
a tremendous president. You know
I
what?
mean,
He'd be great. All right. Anyway, any concluding thoughts? What we're gonna do, folks. Those of you watching and listening, the first hour we had Ryan on, detailing the Muslim Brotherhood's I.O. Influence operation in the upper levels of the government of New Jersey. But they start at various levels. They start with friendship relationships of a target that they pick who seems to have some sort of political future, some capability to rise up. And this is how influence operations are identified and launched. They went after, the Muslim Brotherhood did, Christie, when he was a prosecutor, and then was he the AG? I think he was the AG, wasn't he?
He was U.S. attorney.
U.S. attorney, okay, in New Jersey. And Ryan detailed now the involvement he has with absolute bad guys who are members of the Muslim Brotherhood, the first hour. And we also had a report from Israel. Second hour, just now with Ryan, we went into the Muslim Brotherhood's role in Egypt and how the geopolitics of that are going to play out in Israel's effort now, as we heard Mark Kohlberg saying that 30,000 reservists have been called up, and he was implying that there's going to be an offensive, it looks like.
When you call 30,000 troops up from reserve, you're not just going to have a tea party. You're going to. Yeah.
No, so if there's an offensive going into Gaza where they're rolling in with tanks and going door to door, that's going to get very, very nasty.
Let's
Now,
force Obama's hand.
And Ryan was telling us from his research and from what we know, if that occurs, yeah, go ahead. You can. Oh, you're staying there. If that occurs, this new administration, Mohammed Morsi, the Muslim Brotherhood president of Egypt, has said, you're not going to be going into Gaza like that. It's a different time, different administration. And even if Morsi, the president of Egypt, Mohammed Morsi, who, by the way, went to school where, kiddies?
University of Southern California.
The University of Southern California in Los Angeles in 78 to 82, did a degree there in mechanical engineering, and got involved with the Muslim Brotherhood, Muslim Student Association there. Even if he wanted to be diplomatic and calibrate down the language to reach some sort of agreement, while Israel is prosecuting an operation on the ground, the crazy jihadis ain't going to let him do it. They are not going to let him do it. As we've been saying here for a long time, many Muslims believe this is their moment. This is their moment in history, their manifest destiny. And this is on the Sunni side. The Shia, we already know, they believe that their imam is floating around someplace out of occultation and walking around and will be back soon as Islam can start destroying Jews. But on the Sunni side, they're also sensing that because they have witnessed in their lifetime, folks, they being Sunni Muslims in the Maghreb, in northern Africa and in the Middle East, 330 million of them, Arabs, they have witnessed something that was incomprehensible, that they would no longer be under a dictator that suppressed their desire to implement Sharia law. Now, several of these countries are Sharia compliant or caliphate focused, and Ryan Mauro is sending out a clarion to warn all of us. Hey, Ryan, can you hang over for the next hour and help us introduce Benghazi?
Yeah, sure, we can do that.
All right, let's do that. We're going to take a little break, come back with Ryan Mauro, and CJ, Mike, Mark, Blake back there, and we will tie all of this together, folks. See you in a little bit.
Here's some great news from Tom Trento, host of the daily WNN Trento Vision Show. Due to the unparalleled success of the Trento Vision Show, you now have an amazing opportunity to advertise on the Trento Vision Show. If you want more information about this excellent opportunity for your business, please contact Tom Trento at 561-319-5533, or you can email him, tom@trentovision.tv.
In the wake of a disaster, what one thing can you send that will help people the most? A blanket, a tent, a sterile bandage, a sandbag, a doctor, a sheet of plywood, a shovel, a bulldozer, a stethoscope, a cement mixer, an oxygen tank, a bed, a house. Actually, if you send a monetary donation, you send all these things. Even a small donation can make a big impact. It can quickly become exactly what people affected by disaster need most: food, medical services, shelter, and other essential supplies. It can help improve the immediate distress and over time becomes a crucial tool in rebuilding schools, hospitals, and homes and getting local businesses back on their feet. A monetary donation is an easy and effective way you can help.
Want to help those affected by Hurricane Sandy? To donate, visit sandy.adcouncil.org. That's sandy.adcouncil.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
AM 1470 WNN with more of what you need to know. Start your day with the Steve King